Okay, so Monday, April the 19th, 2021. Officially, the day that football died. I mean, what the hell do you say to that? You've heard what Gary Neville's had to say. You've heard what the proposals are by the investors of this new Super League. It's so sad. I mean, I can't believe that this is actually happening. This feels like a nightmare. Honestly, it feels like I'm having the worst dream of my life and I can't wake up from it. I cannot believe this is actually going to happen. And a part of me still thinks that it might not happen, and I pray to God that it doesn't. But I'm going to touch on that in a moment. So, the 12 teams, the major European, basically the teams with the most money that have said that they want to compete. That's basically what it is, because there's teams in that Super League that do not deserve to be in there. Arsenal, they're not a major team now. They just haven't been for ages. And nor have Spurs. I mean, let's be honest. Tottenham have won sod all. They're fighting to just break into the top four pretty much season on season. Granted, they've had a couple of good seasons, especially getting into Champions League final recent, but they've actually won nothing. All they're doing is the owner, Joe Lewis, I think, and then Levy, who gets paid by him. Them being in there is just absolutely insane, because they're just purely doing it from a financial gain. There's no other reason to why they would otherwise want to be a part of the Super League, and that is exactly the same to the other 11 teams. So the 12 in total have just showed their true colours. The owners, not the fans, nothing to do with the fans. In fact, I feel very, very, very sorry for those fans. I sympathise with you massively. I mean, fucking hell. Sorry to swear. Can you imagine, right, supporting one of those clubs, especially a Premier League team, which I can relate to, as I obviously support West Ham. If you didn't know that, I support West Ham, right? In the Premier League since whatever age, doesn't matter what age, but you've grown up supporting a club that you love. Not always in the Premier League, but probably always, for all the teams that are in there in the Premier League, right? And being able to compete to try and win that title, try and win the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Champions League, the moments that you've been able to have, and the desire to compete and have the bragging rights over each other. It's what makes football. You always want to be the best. I have never met a fan who doesn't want their team to be the best team. Unfortunately, for those teams that are now playing in the Super League, that's not even a thing anymore. It can't be. Because the one thing that I haven't touched on here, which I think is, for me, the biggest flaw out of all of this, and unless they change it, I can't see how this is going to work, is those players cannot play in the World Cup. They're not allowed to. That's part of the rules from UEFA, the Premier League and the FA. As far as I'm aware, they will be exempt from playing in the FIFA World Cup, which is an absolute total embarrassment. Because if those players decide to stick with their respected teams who are within the Super League, the majority of those players will be the best players on the planet, which would therefore mean the World Cup won't have the best players in the world playing for them. Just let that even sink in. Like, could you imagine when this all started from the very first World Cup, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was Uruguay that won it? I mean, from that point all the way through the timeline, from your fathers, your grandfathers, your great grandfathers, whoever has supported those clubs, the moments that they've had, especially when England won the World Cup in 1966, best players arguably in the country playing for their country to win that World Cup. The moments, the raw moments, and can you imagine that feeling, that having that feeling being totally stripped from you? I mean, the next World Cup's Qatar 2022, and as far as I'm aware, that this new Super League comes in August, I think. I don't know. I have no idea. But whatever, right? So what does that mean for the players at their clubs? So let's take Harry Kane, 27 years of age, plays for Tottenham, right? Is he going to want to stick with them? How can he make that decision? How can you honestly make that choice? He, on his resume, has never won a Premier League, never won a World Cup. He's trophyless for major trophies, never won a Champions League, right? Surely he wants that. But with the amount of extra money that's going to be pumped into this, supposedly, I don't know what the wage cap situation is going to be, if there is going to be one. Tottenham could just offer him bags and bags of money for him to be able to stay at the club. Would he want to make that decision? He's going to have to leave them and join another team. Teams that are not in this Super League, like PSG, Bayern Munich, Dortmund. He could join any team, literally, because he wants to be able to compete to win titles, to play for England. That's the main thing here, right? But if he doesn't play for England, then as I just said a moment ago, we've not got the best players playing for our country. But on the flip side, if he does leave and then other players then follow suit from the Super League teams and then go and sign for the other teams who are not in the Super League, that Super League is going to have a much weaker squad. All of them. It's just going to be a very low standard in comparison to what those teams should be. So this is where I sympathise with all the other teams. So Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Tottenham. Oh, have I missed one? Oh, anyway, all the Premier League teams involved, I sympathise with you. All the fans who support them. Because you could be gutted like a fish. All of your players gone. All the big names gone. Who would really want to stay when they cannot win anything apart from having a financial gain in their pockets? Which would be interesting to see, actually, which players are thinking of their pockets or which players actually want to go out and win and have a bit of a legacy, who love the game and had been brought up into the game, trying to progress to one day maybe have a dream to win the World Cup, to win the Champions League, to win the Premier League, to win the FA Cup, because I know I did when I grew up. I mean, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to one day think, God blimey, I would have dreams. I would wake up and be like, I just was throwing goal and I scored a winning goal in the World Cup final for England against Germany. That's a dream that I think many millions of people who are passionate football fans, especially in England, would have had. The saying that I saw from Michael Cunningham, that he posted and then completely reminded me, was, which is now my cover post on Facebook, which was, created by the poor, stolen by the rich. And that's what's happened. They've stolen the identity of what football really is, what it matters, what it means. I don't just follow West Ham. I've had the privilege to be able to follow non-league teams around me and support them. Andover, where I live, and Basingstoke Town, which a huge percentage of my family lives in Basingstoke, and I grew up standing on the terraces where it was sunny, cloudy, windy, rainy, even snowy, all occasions, in some of the most unbelievably shocking or standard games ever. But you know why you do it? Because you just love it. You love there. Have pint in the clubhouse before the game, after the game, have a dodgy burger, standing there with your family, with your dad, your brother, your granddad, maybe your mum, your sister, whoever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's a community, you're part of something, you feel the true raw on the back of your neck when your team scores, regardless of the level. That's what football is. It's a passion. And to be brought up to see the game being ripped from absolute shreds. I feel like I'm getting emotional now, but it's really, really sad. To think that JP Morgan, the Glazers, and everyone else, the president of, I can't remember his name, of Real Madrid, have just gone, yeah, let's do this from a financial point of view, and totally disregarded that proper feeling of what football is. That's sad. There's not much more to say apart from what, if you've seen it, what Gary Neville has already said, what the world is saying, and what everyone else is saying. But I just wanted to give you my honest, raw reflection of how I felt in the moment of hearing this breaking news and knowing what I know so far. I'm praying to God that they come to an agreement where, at least at the bare minimum, the players are able to still represent their country. Because to me, I support England, always have, and the dream of us one day winning the World Cup. Now, I truly believe if we do not have the best players playing for us, and they're sticking in the Super League, and we don't have the best players representing England, you do not get that same excitement. So if Kane stayed with Tottenham and wasn't able to play for his country, or say Declan Rice decided to leave West Ham and sign for Man City in his season's time, and he plays in the Super League and then can't play for England after him being brought up through the ranks at West Ham, that would make me sad. I hope that for the history side of football, that the present day as it is, and the future for the football fans that get brought up into this new era, that it doesn't completely destroy the game that we love, just for the sake of money. Anyway. God bless all the supporters that are part of these teams who are involved in the Super League. As I said, feel for you. And I really, really hope that one day this can be completely gone and just back to normal. Oh yeah, sorry, I knew what I was going to say. No, there was something on my mind. Regardless to what happens now, going forward, say for example, this Super League doesn't happen, they completely scrap it. It won't change anything from my opinion, and I think what we should all take note of, the owners or the clubs that have agreed to this, because they've showed their true colours in really saying what their intentions are in the game, that they're purely money greedy driven people who don't have a passion for the game at all, because if they did they wouldn't sign it, which is why I have deep respect for PSG, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, just to name a few, the ones that I am aware of, because they are thinking of the fans, they're thinking of the legacy, they're thinking of the history, and they're thinking of the future for their club, and I have deep respect for them. For the owners of the football clubs, regardless to what happens now, you'd be known as a fake club to me, personally. Not to the fans, as I said, I've got to stress that, but I will never consider any of these teams that have signed it, Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal and Tottenham, with the owners that you have right now, you're fake. Don't belong. Don't belong at the club. Disgust me. Alright, well, let's pray that things change. Alright, 15 minutes getting on a bit now. Waffled a bit, but hey, such is life. Right, Troddy out.